This is a brief presentation of the family home provided for under Articles 152 to 162 of the Family Code. This article answers the questions, what is a family home and who may constitute a family home? Article 152. The family home, constituted jointly by the husband and the wife or by an unmarried head of a family, is the dwelling house where they and their family reside and the land on which it is situated. All residential houses used as a family home, with or without having been judicially or extrajudicially constituted as such prior to the effectivity of the Family Code, are deemed constituted by operation of law as a family home on August 3, 1988, the date of the effectivity of the Family Code, provided that the provisions of the Family Code are complied with. A family home cannot be constituted by the wife or by the husband alone. Constitution must be done jointly by both husband and wife. An unmarried head of the family, however, can constitute by himself or herself alone. Under the Family Code, a family home is deemed constituted on a house and land from the time it is actually occupied as a family residence. The requirement of house and land as constitutive of a family home stresses the element of permanence. The occupancy must be actual and not merely constructive. Hence, one cannot claim that he or she has occupied the premises at the time his or her overseer, maid, houseboy, or driver has lived in the said place, because occupancy by the one claiming the house as family home must be actual and not merely constructive. This article answers the question, for how long does a family home continue to be such? Article 153. The family home is deemed constituted on a house and lot from the time it is occupied as a family residence. From the time of its constitution and so long as any of its beneficiaries actually resides therein, the family home continues to be such and is exempt from execution, forced sale, or attachment, except as hereinafter provided and to the extent of the value allowed by law. The exemption from execution, forced sale, or attachment provided by law is effective from the time of the constitution of the family home as such and lasts so long as any of its beneficiaries actually resides therein. The exemption, however, is not absolute, as there are obligations and indebtedness excluded from the exemption which are enumerated under Article 155. Under Article 155, the whole amount obtained from the sale of the family home may be taken by the creditor or obligee. This article answers the question, who are the beneficiaries of the family home? Article 154. The beneficiaries of a family home are 1. The husband and wife or an unmarried person who is the head of a family, and 2. Their parents, ascendants, descendants, brothers and sisters, whether the relationship be legitimate or illegitimate, who are living in the family home and who depend upon the head of the family for legal support. To be a beneficiary of the family home, three requisites must concur. 1. They must be among the relationships enumerated in Article 154 of the Family Code. 2. They live in the family home. And 3. They are dependent for legal support upon the head of the family. This article enumerates the cases wherein the family home may be subjected to execution, forced sale, or attachment. Article 155. The family home shall be exempt from execution, forced sale, or attachment except number 1. For non-payment of taxes, 2. For debts incurred prior to the constitution of the family home, 3. For debts secured by mortgages on the premises before or after such constitution, and 4. For debts due to laborers, mechanics, architects, builders, material men, and others who have rendered service or furnished material for the construction of the building. The family home is not exempt from execution, forced sale, or attachment for non-payment of taxes. Taxes are the lifeblood of the government, and their prompt and certain availability is an imperious need. Being the chief source of revenues for the government to keep it running, taxes must be paid immediately and without delay. The term debt used in the law is used in its generic sense, namely obligations in general. It includes money judgment arising from tort. The whole value of the family home may be used to pay off the obligations under Article 155. This article answers the question, whose property is the family home? Article 156. The family home must be part of the properties of the absolute community or the conjugal partnership, or of the exclusive properties of either spouse with the latter's consent. It may also be constituted by an unmarried head of a family on his or her own property. Nevertheless, property that is the subject of a conditional sale on installments, where ownership is reserved by the vendor only to guarantee payment of the purchase price, may be constituted as a family home. This article states the value of the family home and the basis of said valuation. Article 157. The actual value of the family home shall not exceed, at the time of its constitution, the amount of 300,000 pesos in urban areas and 200,000 pesos in rural areas, or such amounts as may hereafter be fixed by law. In any event, if the value of the currency changes after the adoption of this code, the value most favorable for the constitution of a family home shall be the basis of evaluation. For purposes of this article, urban areas are deemed to include chartered cities and municipalities whose annual income at least equals that legally required for chartered cities. All others are deemed to be rural areas. This article answers the question, whose written consent is necessary to sell, alienate, donate, assign, or encumber the family home? Article 158. The family home may be sold, alienated, donated, assigned, or encumbered by the owner or owners thereof with the written consent of the person constituting the same, the latter's spouse, and a majority of the beneficiaries of legal aids. In case of conflict, the court shall decide. This article states generally that for as long as a minor beneficiary resides thereat, the family home may not be partitioned by the heirs. Article 159. The family home shall continue despite the death of one or both spouses or of the unmarried head of the family for a period of 10 years or for so long as there is a minor beneficiary, and the heirs cannot partition the same unless the court finds compelling reasons therefor. This rule shall apply regardless of whoever owns the property or constituted the family home. This article states the procedure in the sale of the family home where the creditor's claim is not among those enumerated in Article 155. Article 160. When a creditor whose claims is not among those mentioned in Article 155 obtains a judgment in his favor, and he has reasonable grounds to believe that the family home is actually worth more than the maximum amount fixed in Article 157, he may apply to the court which rendered the judgment for an order directing the sale of the property under execution. The court shall so order if it finds that the actual value of the family home exceeds the maximum amount allowed by law as of the time of its constitution. If the increased actual value exceeds the maximum allowed in Article 157 and results from subsequent voluntary improvements introduced by the person or persons constituting the family home, by the owner or owners of the property, or by any of the beneficiaries, the same rule and procedure shall apply. At the execution sale, no bid below the value allowed for a family home shall be considered. The proceeds shall be applied first to the amount mentioned in Article 157, and then to the liabilities under the judgment and the costs. The excess, if any, shall be delivered to the judgment debtor. Article 161 states that a person may constitute or be the beneficiary of only one family home. Article 161. For purposes of availing of the benefits of a family home as provided for in this chapter, a person may constitute or be the beneficiary of only one family home. Article 162. The provisions in this chapter shall also govern existing family residences insofar as said provisions are applicable. That's the end of the brief presentation of Family Home. Thank you.